Welcome to I Feel Fat Today. I'm your host, Kelly Taylor. This is episode 69, and it's going to be a solo episode because I could not get myself to speak to another human this week. Well, at least not interview them. So just me and you today, loves. But before we get into this episode, as always, subscribe to I Feel Fat Today on YouTube. There we have full video episodes like the one you are listening to right now. And you'll be up to date on when weekly episodes drop. And it helps me and it helps other people discover the show. And the more subscribers we get, the better guests I get to have on. After you subscribe on YouTube, head over to Apple Podcasts and give us a 5-star review. Again, same deal. The more 5-star reviews we have over on Apple, the more people that'll find the podcast and the more awesome guests I can get to interview. Because guess what, people? I've been asking and people are not interested. Okay, after you do that, follow us on Instagram where we post clips of the podcast over there, updates on the weekly episodes. I throw up some fun polls for you to do so that it can be interactive. Follow us on Instagram at I Feel Fat Today. And you can follow me, your host, Kelly Taylor, on Instagram where I post stand-up clips and other random happenings of my life, mostly dogs. Posting mostly a lot about the different dogs that I walk. You can follow me on Instagram at hello, this is Kelly, and send us an email. You can send us an email to ifeelfattoday@gmail.com where you can ask for advice. You could give me your thoughts on the show. And then finally, tell your friends. Tell your friends about the I Feel Fat Today podcast. If you like it and you think that other people might, get our viewership up, man. Tell them to listen to this show. Okay. We're here. It's Friday. We made it. So last week, I forgot my water. Last week I had a really good birthday. And I didn't really feel like doing anything crazy, which is not really like me. I usually am a birthday girl, but I kept things low key, went to dinner, then met up with some friends for some margaritas in the evening, which was really, really nice. And this is was one of my birthday gifts from Joe. You see this? Do you like it? This wasn't, this actual painting wasn't the gift he got me, but he did get me a paint set. And over my birthday weekend, I painted this. And this is actually the Northern Lights my interpretation, I guess, of the Northern Lights that was shining over New York City, on October 10th, on my birthday. And I just thought that was like a really beautiful sign of what's to come for this year. And I also really, really enjoyed this gift because it was super thoughtful. And I think I realized that that's what I care the most about when it comes to gift giving is receiving really thoughtful gifts, especially from, someone like a boyfriend. He said that he had saw paintings I had done when he was visiting my grandparents, when he was with me visiting my grandparents. And so he bought me a paint set and I thought that was lovely. And I actually think this is pretty good for having not painted in honestly many years. And it made me realize how much I enjoy painting and how much I really would like to include this as like a weekly or bi-weekly practice, because this was, I think, a Friday evening. This was a Friday evening. I just looked at a photo of the Northern Lights over the New York City skyline, and I painted this, and I quite like it, but now I need to figure out where to put it. I have so much stuff that needs to be put up on walls in my apartment that just have not been. So everything is on the floor when they should be on the walls. So yeah, let me do this so I can get a little still for the Instagram. I hope I like the way that this looks. Okay. Cool. So that was that. That was my birthday. Hold on. I hate to do this, but I do need to get my water because I am parched. Whew. Okay, I'm back. Okay. So, yeah, no guest this week. That should change for next week. And I'm not 100% sure why I was feeling isolated this week, because I did interact with people at least on some level, through comedy and whatever. But I think my introvertedness this week may have something to do with the full moon in Aries that is happened / has happened this week. It's happening today. Actually, at the day I'm recording this Thursday, October 17th. And so when you're listening to this, hopefully it's Friday, October 18th. And so you actually still, if you haven't, can do some take some action around the full moon that I think could really help you in the future. Is that a good way to say that? Now, for me, I am taking this moon kind of seriously because I myself on my birth chart am an Aries moon. And so I feel like charged up by this energy. And so this is a really good full moon for letting things go that don't serve us. So right now I feel I would say before today, feeling super clogged, hence the no guest. And so after I do this recording, I plan on cleaning out my closet. And if I can't finish cleaning out my closet before I leave to have to go do what I, have planned for tonight, I'm going to come home and continue to clean out my closet. And I probably mentioned this last month when there was another full moon. But I really, really, really enjoy clearing and cleaning things out under full moons because of the energy that provides. It's a really good way to get stagnant energy out. So if you're somebody that doesn't really work out, Thursday, October 17th, Friday, October 18th, 2 really good days to get a workout in. Like for me, I did a 20-minute, I have the Peloton app. I did 20 minutes on my stationary bike following to a Peloton 20-minute workout. So you really can do even you can do something as like low level as that. Go for a walk, do something. So tell yourself you're going to hit 5,000 steps. Do something to get that energy moving because it's a really way to get that stagnant energy out and moving. And the act of cleaning things out, throwing things out, getting things away from your physical space is, I think, imperative to letting new energy in. And I have to tell you, I've shed a lot of the, pun intended, dead weight in my life in the last few weeks, whether, intentionally or, my hand being forced. And it has brought in a lot of cool shit, I gotta say. So, if you're thinking about doing that, if you're feeling stagnant, if you're listening to this laying in bed because like you physically can't get up, go get some water. I like cold water. People don't always like cold water. I like cold water. I like some coffee, and start cleaning out your closet. And even if it's like, oh, I'm not ready to get rid of these things, there are going to be things in your closet that you do want to get rid of. That's why I feel like every month I'm cleaning out my closet, because I'm constantly staring at articles of clothing or whatever of things that I'm not ready to part with. And for some reason, on my next pass, on my next go around, I am ready to get rid of those things. And I really think it's helpful to bring in new energy and have what you want, get what you want. So once you've done that, clean out your closet, or, let that work out, clean out your closet, and then write down what you want, like your perfect life to be. And it doesn't have to be like anything. Well, if you're like, I don't know what my perfect life looks like, something that I do is I like to think, okay, what do I want to look like? You know, how do I want to feel? Maybe I don't know what that job is that I have that, you know, is the thing that I make money in this perfect life, but like maybe your perfect life is like not worrying about the amount of money that you make. So just think about how you want to feel. And then I think from there, you can get an idea of like what your perfect day looks like and just write it down. Don't overthink it. You're not manifesting this. You're just kind of like, it goes back to that clearing, because that's another thing. This is not an energy that you want to manifest under, because the energy is very volatile. And so you probably are feeling super, super crazy. And I have a story about me feeling crazy coming up, but you might be feeling super, super crazy right now, and that's okay. It's the energy of the full moon, and you're probably getting your period. So Aries full moon, again, you're probably listening to this a few days after that full moon. This is still really good stuff to do for yourself, because you're still in the shadow of the full moon a few days after it passes and we go into a new phase. Because something I do want to point out is that something that stresses me out so much, if you have a similar TikTok algorithm to what I have, there's always this monthly urgency to quote, not miss out on this powerful energy. Like, my TikTok the past few days has been this. It's been, if you're seeing this on October 15th, 16th, 17th, or 18th, this message is for you. Break up with your boyfriend. Literally, that's been my TikTok algorithm for the past week. And so it stresses you out. It stresses me out. And I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing with my life? Like, if I let this full moon bypass me and I'm, haven't shed all of this stagnant energy, I'm going to take it with me and it's going to ruin my year. No. Take a deep breath and just, if you don't want to do anything, fine. That's great. The energy is still going to have an effect on you. I think that what you can look at this as, if you want to capitalize on the energy, go for it. Clean out your closet, write down your thoughts. Just do a simple journaling is good. And go with what you feel, because that's really all what it comes down to, is just going with what we feel. Yeah, so that's that. But going back to what I teased before of feeling crazy, I've been very emotional this week. Very, very emotional. And I had a moment a few days ago where it was late at night. I think this was late Monday night. And laying in bed with Joe. And I've been working on is some freelance work. I've been wanting to charge people to help them with speeches. So like, if you're a maid of honor, hit me up. I'll collab with you to help you write your speech, because a lot of people struggle with that. And I've done a few speeches recently at weddings that people say, wow, really good job, blah, blah, blah. So it kind of inspired me to do that. So I knew when I had done the maid of honor speech for one of my best friends recently, I know that my boyfriend had taken a video of it. So I asked him to send me the video, because I want to see it. I want to remember what I said, whatever. So he sends me the video, and I watched the whole thing, and I can't even tell you what I said, because I was staring at myself the entire time, and I started bawling, crying. I cried myself to sleep after seeing myself give a maid of honor speech at my best friend's wedding, because I couldn't, in that moment, I couldn't believe that that's what I looked like, and I was embarrassed. And what I'm saying is probably potentially very, very triggering, and I just want anybody listening to this to know that I am not saying it is bad I looked that way. What I'm saying is it really triggered me, and I have been through so much therapy centering around body image alone that it shocked me how much I reacted to this video, and I couldn't find anything good about it. I hated the dress. I hated my hair. I hated my makeup. I hated the way my body looked in the dress. I hated how my arms were out, and I couldn't understand. I couldn't understand that that was me in the video, and I felt so disconnected from my body, and I hadn't felt that way in so long that it was shocking to me that I reacted this way, that I actually cried myself to sleep. Crazy. And I do attribute my emotional volatility in that moment to the fact that we have this crazy, lunar energy happening. And you can listen to this and say that I'm a fucking idiot for thinking that. And you can turn this podcast off because I don't really give a fuck what you think. I just know that that's how I was affected, because I did go back and kind of download the feelings that I was feeling. And it did make me sort of assess my life in a way of, how I want to present myself and how I want to look and the health that I want to be at. And, this is not me saying I'm going on Ozempic. Just want to throw that out there. If I go on Ozempic, believe me, you'll know. I'll make a whole podcast about it. No, but it made me think okay, if that's the way that I look and I'm reacting like this to that, I need to work on that and determine that there's nothing wrong with me looking that way and reacting negatively to it. Both of those things are neutral things. And third, if I want to have more intentional movement in my life, I can, and I will, and I have been. And I think that that is all just kind of tied up into the new energy that a full moon can bring. So yeah, if you're feeling crazy, don't worry, honey. You don't need to adjust your SSRIs or your mood stablers. It's just the moon. Okay. Wow, it's going to be a quick episode, guys. It is going to be a quick episode. I'm talking too fast. I'm going through these show notes so quickly. I was actually going to share a video that I saw on TikTok about food noise, because I really thought it was the perfect description of what food noise feels and sounds like to someone experiencing it. But it just kind of felt out of place in this episode. So maybe next week, that's something we'll talk about. And I'll share it, but I will share it on my Instagram so that you can see it there, or the I Feel Fat Today Instagram, so you can see it there. So scratch what I just said. It's not happening this episode. But I do have an article. It's a little long, so I'm going to try to just not read it word for word, just kind of pull out the key points here. But I was going to come on here and talk about how Lizzo says she's losing weight naturally on this gap year that she's taken. Or, maybe talk about how Fat Joe said that he lost all of his weight by going on Ozempic. But honestly, that stuff is boring. Celebrities are losing weight. Groundbreaking. But I did find an article about Ozempic that proved to be kind of interesting, about how Ozempic could help. They called it a secret cure for depression and dementia. It's in early studies of having an effect on those things. So who knows? Maybe this miracle drug is less, I can't think of the word. Not materialistic. Less cosmetic and has more of a effect on someone's overall ability to function in society. So let me go back here. Let me pull this up, and we'll end on that. And it's a quick episode. We're in and out real quick this episode. I'm a busy girl. Got busy things to do. Okay, so this is from a UK publication. The article will be in the description of the show notes if you want to check it out for yourself. But it's called, "Does Ozempic Also Hold the Secret to Cure secret to a cure for depression and dementia. Okay, so where do I want to start here? One moment, please. Okay. I'm going to just skip ahead a little bit here and go over the key points. So, the drugs were originally created at this point. Sorry, coming back here. At this point, if you're listening to this podcast, you know what Ozempic is. You know that it's a GLP-1. You know that it's semaglutide compound, and it affects an individual's hunger. It affects a person's hunger signals, causing them to not eat, causing them to lose weight. So, okay. Starting here, while the drugs were originally created to treat type 2 diabetes and obesity, what's less known and currently being investigated is the drug's potential impact on a whole raft of other serious health conditions, including dementia, depression, heart attacks, stroke, liver failure, polycystic ovarian syndrome, Alzheimer's, and even addiction. Already, the drug maker, Danish pharma company Novo Nordisk, is undertaking trials with dementia patients with full results expected in 2025. The study from Oxford University recently published in The Lancet earlier this year examined over 100 million U.S. patients' records and found that those prescribed Ozempic had lower rates of cognitive decline and also experienced lower nicotine cravings. Although all patients in the study had diabetes, and researchers warn that further trials are needed. Early signs, however, are hugely encouraging, mostly down to the fact that semaglutide, the drug that Ozempic and Wegovy are brand names for, works by activating the GLP-1 receptors in the brain. And these GLP-1 receptors have been found to calm bodily inflammation, a key factor in triggering or exacerbating serious disease. When the drug is injected, insulin is released into the body, our blood sugar levels are lowered, and a fullness hormone is triggered, which is how it controls appetite. But it seems semaglutide does a few other things as well. Dr. Stephen Adler, a consultant neurologist at Cognition Health, says semaglutide might impact the brain through several mechanisms. By improving blood sugar, semaglutide can reduce the risk of diabetes-related cognitive decline. High blood sugar levels can damage blood vessels and neurons, too, contributing to dementia. He also points out that chronic inflammation is linked to neurodegenerative diseases. Semaglutide's anti-inflammatory properties may help reduce brain inflammation and directly protect neurons by improving cellular repair mechanisms and reducing oxidative stress. Of the latest studies, he says, I believe it is plausible finding that could increase interest in reducing inflammation to prevent long-term conditions. Researchers are now investigating the direct effects of semaglutide on the brain, and the list of the other conditions it could be used to treat in the future is impressive. While Dr. Adam Morton, consultant older adult psychiatrist at Pall Mall Medical, says that the medications are still relatively new and will take a while for any changes to be noticed via routine hospital clinics. The conditions under review mean that if the results are as impressive as they initially look, it could be the holy grail of health. And then celebrities really are going to want to get their hands on that. Okay, so it's going to break down the different diseases that we talked about and how semaglutide seems to positively impact those things. The Oxford study indicates that Ozempic and Wegovy are associated with a lower risk of cognitive problems in patients with type 2 diabetes, says Dr. Morton. The benefits may arise from reducing risk factors which increase the chance of developing dementia. In Alzheimer's, he explains brain cells are caused by He explains brain cells are damaged by proteins called tau and amyloid, causing areas of the brain to die. By contrast, vascular dementia means blood vessels narrow and become blocked, similar to a stroke. Medications are available to mask symptoms of Alzheimer's, Dr. Morton explains, but they don't actually stop the disease from progressing. The newer medications, which have been in news recently, do something different. They reduce levels of amyloid in the brain early in the dementia process. However, there's no equivalent medication for vascular dementia. That might be where semaglutide medications come in. Inflammation reduction in the brain may also support semaglutide's use in cognitive diseases. As GLP-1s are able to control immune function in the brain, blocking protein buildup as well as lowering inflammation in the neural pathways. One trial last year found that Alzheimer's patients treated with ligolutide, a similar drug, had a reaction in cell shrinkage and less cognitive decline than those not on the medication. Dr. Ivan Koichev, who led the Oxford study, says, this class of drugs is known to reduce risk of vascular events, and so the effect on dementia may be through reducing the likelihood of smaller blood vessel scarring. The early signs are that semaglutide could be helpful in both Alzheimer's and vascular dementia, and its uses may become even clearer when the Novo Nordisk trial concludes next year. Interesting. So it's funny because my guest from a few weeks ago talked about how her father is, dealing with dementia and how difficult that is. And part of the reason why she wouldn't even consider going on Ozempic is because of its effect on the brain. And I'm not saying that this is something that these are very early studies, but it's interesting that I just had this conversation a few weeks ago about Ozempic and its effect on the brain. And in this article, it's stating that it's showing positive effects on dementia. Okay, depression. Earlier this year, an analysis of 4 million patients by Epic found that a majority of GLP-1 medications led to a reduced likelihood of depression and anxiety. Non-diabetic patients on semaglutide were significantly 37% less likely to be depressed and 31% less likely to be diagnosed with anxiety. Well, folks, when society accepts what your body looks like, it's way easier to have a nicer outlook on life and not be depressed and not be anxious about what you look like. I don't know what you want me to tell you. No, I'm kidding. Let's read this article and find out what they mean by that. A meta-analysis also suggested a reduction in depression among patients with diabetes who were taking the medication. Researchers pointed out that the mental health benefits due to weight loss, there's an established connection between obesity and depression as well as anxiety, but now scientists are looking deeper into the initial findings. Assistant Professor Rodrigo Mansour from the University of Toronto, who has researched the effects of semaglutide, believes that the presence of GLP-1 receptors in areas of the brain responsible for cognitive function and emotional control certainly play a significant role in reducing depression and anxiety beyond a mind trick. In 2017, studies found, on average, depressive symptoms improved by 30% regardless of weight loss. Further MRI brain scans of participants found that the brain areas related to planning, organization, and emotional processing noticeably increased in volume within just a few weeks. So it does seem like there's something outside of what they said, a mind trick of showing positive signs of curing depression after using GLP-1s. Okay, heart attack and strokes. They go into this for heart attack and strokes. I don't know if this is worth reading because obviously when you are less obese, you have less of a risk for heart attack and strokes. This is saying that the anti-inflammatory effect is what's currently thought to reduce heart attack risk. A recent large select study from UCL's Institute of Cardiovascular Disease found cardiovascular advantage in 9 diabetics taking semaglutide. Whoops. Participating adults who had previously suffered heart attack, stroke, or arterial diseases, who were overweight or obese but not diabetic, took semaglutide for over 3 years and had a 20% lower risk of heart attack, stroke, or death due to cardiovascular disease. Study leader Professor John Dienfeld said, "These findings have important clinical implications. Around half of the patients that I see in my cardiovascular practice have levels of weight equivalent to those in a select trial and are likely to derive benefit from taking semaglutide." Interesting. The effect on cardiovascular health was independent of any weight loss. These alternative mechanisms may include positive impact on blood sugar, blood pressure, or inflammation, says Professor Dienfeld, as well as direct effect on the heart muscles and blood vessels, or a combination. Other studies have indicated preventative effects against stroke and epilepsy, as seemingly the drug's protective effects relating to dementia may also have an impact on neuroinflammatory diseases such as Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. Okay. And then the last area that this article goes into is GLP-1s and their effect on addiction. And I will say, just anecdotally, something I have heard come up with people that are on these medications is that they have like less of a desire to do something like drinking, whereas it was something that they felt that they wanted to do. It not only cuts down on something like food noise, it cuts down on someone's desire to drink alcohol. So let's see what this article has to say about addiction. Thanks to their ability to target inflammation, the possible applications of the drug are The possible applications of the drugs are wide, and now even addiction is coming into the semaglutide spotlight. Earlier this year, researchers from Penn State Neuroscience Institute presented the first trial results using the drug to treat addiction to opioids. Through a small study, just 20 patients, the results were impressive, with those on the drug experiencing a 40% reduction in cravings. When activated, GLP-1s appear to target the brain areas connected to reward and craving and reduce activity in those regions. The pleasure of a hit is reduced and the pain of withdrawal is lessened too. Meanwhile, UT Health's Houston studies with mice indicated that Ozempic and Wegovy and other similar drugs, Victoza and Byetta, reduced nicotine-seeking behaviors too. At least one of the mechanisms of how these drugs reduce alcohol drinking is by reducing the rewarding effects of alcohol, said a study leader. The belief is that it may work for nicotine in a similar way. Addictive substances can increase dopamine production, so one way in which the drugs work may be by reducing that flow. It is also why semaglutide may be useful in treating eating disorders, after a University of Oklahoma study found it offered better results than the current US-based medication used to treat binge eating disorders. Researchers think it may be able to help patients with anorexia and bulimia too, although more research into the effects are needed. It seems GLP-1 can help control stress, mood, cognitive function, and reward, and the effects of any drug or behaviors which normally trigger these areas of the brain may be alleviated. Future studies into the use of Ozempic and Wegovy will rely on academic funding, as Ozempic's manufacturer, Novo Nordisk, have no current plans to study the other applications of the drug. They are, however, looking into clinical trials for alcohol-related liver disease with a view to discovering whether semaglutide can improve liver health and fibrosis. Scarring. Excitingly, there are even more early research being done into looking into the effects of the drug on certain cancers that may be triggered by inflammation. A study in the JAMA Network Open Medical Journal looked at the records of 1.6 million patients with no prior history of obesity-related cancer and found those treated with GLP-1 medication had a significant risk reduction in 10 specific cancers, including gallbladder and kidney. As of yet, branded medications such as Ozempic and Wegovy are only prescribed for type 2 diabetes and weight loss and must be prescribed by a doctor. If further studies do reveal these drugs to have a significant impact on some of the world's deadliest and most debilitating diseases, it may yet transpire that semaglutide really is the wonder drug we've all been waiting for. And there you have it. Yeah. Bit of a wonder drug, right? I don't know. Sounds too good to be true, maybe? Let's find out in 2025 after some of these studies have concluded. But, yeah, I don't know. I guess really, since it helps people lose weight at an alarming rate, who cares about everything else? No, but really, that's societally what we care about. But pretty cool if it can help impact people's quality of life by, not having something as horrible as Alzheimer's and dementia ravage someone's brain and ultimately be the thing that takes their life. So, yeah, interesting. We'll see. We'll have to see. Wow. I think that's all I got today. Wow. Feel like I'm forgetting something. Other than thanking you all for being here, for watching, for listening. I hope you like this podcast. Sometimes I question why I do it. So if you listen to the podcast and you haven't already told me that you enjoy it, please send me a message. I'll probably be kind of embarrassed that you did, but it will give me the validation that I need to keep going. I'm going to try to post more clips of the show because I think that that's like the only way to really get listeners is by posting clips. So I'm working on it. I'm trying, guys. I'm trying. But yeah, I think that's all I got. Okay. Well, I hope you have a fabulous weekend. If you're listening to this after the weekend, I hope you had a good weekend and you're going into a prosperous week. And do some breathing if you're stressed. You're going to get through it. We always get through it. And be kind. I don't know. I can't say be kind. That was the Ellen DeGeneres thing. And look how that turned out. She's still a millionaire, so maybe I should. Okay. Time to go. Until next week. Bye.